What's up, guys? Saf here on SuperSaf Speaks, and welcome to a new episode of the podcast with myself, your host, Saf.
And Thunder E from Borderwork, your co-host.
And, there's a lot to talk about. We actually had to miss last week's episode because there was just so much on. We had to make lots of prep for this week because, there's a new launch every single day this week, right? When did March become September? You know what I mean?
Yeah, when we rolled into 2021, man, it's changed everything.
It's just been crazy. So we've had on Monday was the Poco phone F3 as well as the X3 Pro. Tuesday, OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro. Wednesday's realme 8 Pro. There's a lot of pros. And then on Thursday, there's the Vivo X60 Pro and the X60 Pro Plus. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. But then we've also got some other news that we want to talk about because it might be, we've talked about the end of the Note series, Samsung Galaxy Note series, but it looks like we actually might not be getting a Note device this year. Okay, that's just the latest news that's in. We've also talked about LG potentially stopping making smartphones. That's a new story that we've also had, that it might actually happen, and it's looking very, very likely. Microsoft is currently in talks with Discord over a 10 billion plus acquisition. And we're talking a lot of tech, but we're going to finish off with the Snyder Cut of Justice League. We're just going to kind of he really wants to talk about this for sure, but it'll just take us a little bit off the whole heavy tech focus and we can mix things up. We're not reading any reviews this week. It's just been crazy. We've not had a chance to go through them, but we will be going back to reading our reviews from next week. So if you are on Apple Podcast, do drop a review and drop some comments on YouTube, and as well as the socials. We do check them very often. Okay, so I want to actually start about the few of the devices that we've had this week. Not going to go into too much detail because there's just too much. So the Poco F3 as well as the X3 Pro, very competitive, coming in at around 200 to 250 euros. And then we've got 300 to 350 euros. We've got some early bird offers there. They're definitely offering some very decent specs for the price, right? Now, you've had some experience with the X3 Pro, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How's that been for you overall in a nutshell?
The X3 Pro is a solid device. The Snapdragon 860 processor really comes into something that is quite interesting. I wasn't able to do any benchmarks, but you guys can check out my video on the channel. But I will say, though, that in terms of performance, though, you're getting everything you get on a 888 as well. So,
okay.
I don't know what else to tell you.
It's impressive. These devices are really coming in at very competitive price points, and it's great. It gives us lots of competition. Another device that is coming out this week as well is the Realme 8 Pro. Now, disclaimer: I have partnered with Realme to do some sponsored coverage as well as a massive giveaway. This is the biggest giveaway ever had on any platform on the channel. We're going to be giving away lots of Realme 8 Pros. I can't specify exactly how much. I want to keep that as a surprise. You know how much I've got. You've seen the pictures, but that will be on the main channel. But just to kind of run you over some of the features that the Realme 8 Pro has. So it's a 6.4-inch AMOLED display, right? Now, let me just remind you that this device is coming in at just £279. So I want to keep going back to this, right? You've got a 108 megapixel primary camera. This is the Samsung HM2 sensor, which I believe is now one of the this device is one of the most affordable devices with a 108 megapixel sensor. We have an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, Snapdragon 720G chipset. We've got 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage, and we get a 50-watt super dart charger included out of the box. So you don't have to buy that separately, and it's a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. So yeah, this price category is really getting interesting if you don't really want to spend too much. The 720G, what would you say in terms of that processor?
I mean, it's interesting though. What I find the most interesting here, as I said the word interesting twice or three times, is the fact that the 720G is capable of handling the 108 processor. That's so 108 megapixel camera lens, which is something that we thought was left for the 800 or maybe the highest 700 series. So it looks like Qualcomm they've partnered with Qualcomm to do something really good, where at least on a lower price device you're gonna get some good images. I mean, that's a good thing.
That's really interesting that you mentioned that, because one thing that a lot of people forget is when we're talking about these very high resolution cameras and big large size sensors, you do need the image signal processor that can handle that level of detail, right? Because you're getting a lot of detail coming through from those sensors. Now it needs to be computed, right? And if you've got a good image signal processor, an ISP as it's called, on the chipset, that's when you really can make the most of these images. And having that 720G there, and one of the things I have to keep reminding myself, I'm sure you do as well, is we're so used to devices that are around £1,000, $1,000, right? And
Yeah.
you kind of get into that mindset of comparing everything to those. But you have to I have to keep reminding myself whenever I'm like with a device like the Realme 8 Pro, is that this device is literally a quarter of the price of one of those flagships, right? So £279, you could get four of those devices for the price of, say an iPhone 12 Pro Max or the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra or something like that. So you kind of have to like keep reminding yourself there's a bit of a chin, yes, and you do get the 2 megapixel black and white, as well as the 2 megapixel macro cameras. Again, that's something that a device at that price, I'm kind of like, okay, even if you don't use those, you're still getting a decent package. An AMOLED display, sure, it's not going to be 120 hertz, but you're getting a good AMOLED display which has 1,000 nits of peak brightness, again, for that price. So it's definitely interesting to see the competition that's coming at this price.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think also, again, at that price point, you don't need to focus. I wouldn't say want to. You don't need to focus on 120 hertz display. Better camera, better battery. That price point has different desires and needs, as opposed to trying to throw in all the hard and fancy stuff in there.
Hey, and I mean, you're getting a 50-watt charger included out of the box, which you don't get with many of the devices as well. So, I mean, it's looking like a promising device. As mentioned, there's going to be some coverage on the main channel, so do check that out. And soon on the main channel as well, there will be, mark my words, the biggest giveaway that we've had on my channel, but pretty much on many of the channels as well. We've got something big coming up, and being able to work with a brand such as Realme gives us the opportunity to, do these massive partnerships which you wouldn't be able to do otherwise, right? Because it just would not be feasible for us to do that individually. All right, now we're gonna move over, and both myself and E are Samsung Galaxy Note users. We have been for a long time, right? Right now we're obviously moving on to the different devices, but Notes have always been kind of our go-tos, right? Now we talked about the potential of the Note series being discontinued, and the rumors of that came about after the S21 Ultra had support for the S Pen. So it kind of like brought up the question, will the Note series be discontinued? Well, we've actually now got a report that it doesn't seem like it's going to be discontinued, but at the least it's going to be delayed. So at the 52nd regular shareholders meeting in South Korea, Samsung co-CEO DJ Ko talked about the imbalance between the demand and supply of semiconductors globally, right? So this is obviously a known problem. There is a shortage of semiconductors across the globe right now. And Ko explained that it will be difficult to release the Note 21 in the second half of this year, as developing and offering two high-end devices can be a burden, referring to the S21, the S21 Ultra from earlier in the year, right? Now, Ko has said it is not that we do not release new products, the timing may vary, but next year we are preparing to continue to do so. A spokesperson also went on to record to mention that the Note series has not been discontinued, so they've kind of made a point of this, but only delayed for now, and expects the new flagship to return for next year. That'll likely be the Note 22 after the S22. So, I don't know. There's a couple of things to kind of look at here. Firstly, I'm very disappointed at that news. I was hoping that even if they did push it back, maybe we got it in like, instead of August, usually maybe November. I don't know. But it looks like it might actually be pushed over completely to next year. What are your thoughts on this, E?
So the last time we spoke, I had a theory about it, and I've just revised it after listening to that whole statement here. So initially, I had said that, look, this is also initially as in January, right before the S21 was coming. I said, look, what Samsung is going to do this year is the S21 is going to support an S Pen. The Note's going to go away, and the Fold is going to take over that position. And maybe it might be refreshed next year as being, look, you can get a regular Note. If you want to get the Note Super, Note Ultra, or the Fold Ultra would be the next level of a Note, right? It's like 1-2 step combo. My revision here is this. I think he's correct, but I think we're going to have the Note part of the S line next year.
Interesting.
And I think that's the delay, because here's where my math is going. Here's the reason why this is very interesting. The only device they mentioned in that whole statement was the Note. They didn't mention delays to the Fold, to any of the foldables. They didn't mention any delays to the FE series. They didn't mention delays to the A series, which is their biggest cash cow. So they've basically said those are safe. There's only one set of devices that said it wasn't. So to me, I think that delay means the Note becomes two-pronged. So I think what we have next year will be an S Ultra with an S Pen, a regular S, which just means it's still an Ultra without a pen, if you want to, and then the smaller size,
So you're saying that the Note is going to be kind of merged with the S series. I mean, for a long time, a lot of people have kind of said that the Note is the Galaxy S with an S Pen, right? That's something that a lot of people say. So that's potential. I'm just happy that it's not being discontinued altogether, because as much as I do like the S21 Ultra and I like the option of having an S Pen, not having something which you can just tuck into the device itself that's self-contained within the body is just not practical in my opinion. Any case just makes it too wide, comically wide, that it's just not really usable in my opinion. And just having the S Pen is just it's nice to have, and I'm sure some people will make use of it on the S21 Ultra. Personally, not for me. I like to have it inside the device itself, in the housing of the device, so then it's tucked away. Sure, that does have an impact on the battery size somewhat, but it just makes the whole process more like a Note and something that we're used to. I think that if it is delayed, it's possible that they might merge this, but it might just be a simple case of, okay, we just, as Samsung is saying, they just have a limit of supplies right now. So maybe they'll just be like, okay, look, we're just going to skip this year and next year. Also, I mean, the other thing, by the way, E, is if they have the S21 Ultra with the S Pen, how do they differentiate the Note this year? Like,
exactly. So, yeah, there's no differentiation whatsoever, unless, of course, the Note comes with a brand new feature that is very Note-centric. That's the only way they do it. And either one, they didn't have it, which kudos to them for not trying to throw a gimmick. But also, again, it makes so much sense when you delay it and you come with an S22, and the S22 is revamped. Because here's the thing that's going to happen, I think. I think Samsung will have, here's the other thing I'm going to put into future quote is, Samsung will have a 108 megapixel ultra-wide sensor as well next year to match. Or 50. They're going to go with one of those two. Either 50 or, 64 is their lens they usually use. So 64 or 108.
So they'll be kind of like, improving on that. Because, again, like right now, considering how good the S21 Ultra was and how well it was received, trying to top that with the Note series, considering that the S21 Ultra also already has an S Pen, is going to be quite difficult. All right, so that's the Note. Again, I'm hopeful that we will be seeing more Notes going forward. And it also seems like we potentially might have some more bad news, and that is around LG devices. So we've talked about this before, but we've just had a new report in. Now, this is on Phone Arena. The Korean news agency, Dong-A Ilbo, I think it's called, this is via Bloomberg, is reporting that LG's plans to sell its loss-making phone business have all fallen through for real this time. Its sources from a local electronics industry have tipped that LG is now planning to shutter its smartphones division altogether after negotiations with VW and others to buy it didn't pan out. So I mean, it's look we've talked about this before. LG, it's a brand that we're very much invested in the brand when it comes to televisions and laptops, all of these things that we use, monitors. I swear by my ultra wide monitor from LG, and they've made some great devices, but it has been a downhill journey for them over the past few years. Let's be real. Their marketing has been completely off point. They always start at a higher price and then they end up lowering the price just a month in, which means nobody actually buys the device on launch because they know that the price is going to go down. So it just has this I don't even know what the word for it is. What do you call that? Where you kind of just build that up for yourself to fail. You just kind of
set up for failure. Yeah,
setting up for failure. That's what I'm looking for. You're pretty much setting up for failure because once you kind of give that impression to people that, hey, the device is going to drop in price after a month, who's going to buy it? You know what I mean? So why not just start at a more competitive price? Why not, give us devices that it's fair enough experimenting and stuff, but just a lot of the mistakes that they've made in the past is a little bit unfortunate, but it kind of has now led to this situation.
I have a solution for LG, but they're not gonna listen. They're not gonna take it, and it looks like this is the demise. I think LG should do two things. One, the most important thing is take all the experience they have and create the competitor to the Galaxy FE. Honestly, price it. Look for a price at $500. Create that $500 device that everybody goes, wow. Even if it's not 5G, does not matter. Again, now you have chipsets like the 870, the 860. This year, there's a lot of options you can mix in that when you drop a device, you provide the things you do well with LG. Look, you guys have always done ultra wide well. You've done stereo speakers well. You have a headphone jack. You include the SD card. You've got exactly. You throw in a battery in there. You give people a nice $500 package, and you say, look, it's available to buy either LG.com or Amazon. Partner with Amazon. Honestly, just drop that. And then the second thing is continue to showcase those expensive devices. I'm not talking about competitors to the Galaxy line, because LG also owns LG Display, even though it's a separate company. Give us the rollable. Just give us a small supply and say, look, we're just launching this because you're selling it to other suppliers who will buy. That's literally what you're doing that. Showcasing your tech. You're like, hey, we've got a rollable display. It's going to cost you $2,000. Yeah, we're only probably aiming to sell 100,000 anyway, right? That's it. That's all we're doing. And people will come back. People will look at LG and go, this makes a lot of sense, because that's how you keep yourself competitive in this market. Right now they have zero focus. And again, we said it before. Look, if you guys are bad at marketing, come to us. We will do it for you.
We will advise you. But like on a serious note, I totally agree with you. Around that $500 price point is where there's a lot of competition kind of building up. But we've got a few standout devices that really people will flock towards, like the S20 FE. Last year was just a huge success. That's what they should come in at. Don't start high and then discount later on. Come in competitive right away.
Dave.
Give us something that's going to be really good, but also work on your marketing in the sense that, like I've talked about this before. I've been in situations with LG in the UK where they've called me to an exclusive hands-on of a device that I've already reviewed. So an exclusive first hands-on event where I can't even, I have to film in this control situation. But why would I do that when I've already got the device in my hand? I've had it for 2 weeks. I've dropped a review on my channel already. And then it's just like, you were inviting me to this exclusive hands-on. It's like, come on, how disconnected can you be, right? So work on getting the devices into the hands of people. If you're confident in your product, you have no problem giving the device on a loan basis, whatever it is, to journalists, reviewers who will say good things about them because they are a good if you've made a good product and you're confident about it, send it out there. Let people talk about it. Let that really kind of get your consumers to know about the products. Don't just drop a product and then don't talk about it for 2 months and then drop it when everybody's forgotten about it and moved on to the next thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, though, stop focusing on the U.S. market. I'm not saying you shouldn't. Don't. I mean, just like Saf said, there are other markets there. There's the U.K. market. There's India. There's so many markets you can go in and say, look, hey, here's our product. Here's a product for 500. Think about. Let me put it this way for you. I'm originally from Nigeria. In Nigeria right now, other than people, so here are the tiers you have in Nigeria. People are either buying iPhone, Galaxy. That's top, right? Just like everywhere else on the planet. And then it jumps down to Infinix and I've forgotten the other brand, but brands that I never heard of. I follow some other Nigerian YouTubers who are based in Nigeria, and those are the devices they're covering. The really cheaper phones, and people are going like, yeah, it's too cheap because it breaks down. Like they want something just a little bit higher that okay, fine, I'm going to pay this amount for, and it's not going to, it's not going to break the bank, and it's also going to last long, as opposed to like getting a Galaxy on iPhone, because those are the ones that break the bank for them. So there's a lot of sweet spots in many places where you can actually look like, instead of you trying to fight and then follow carrier rules in the US that forces everything to just release in such weird schedules for you.
Yeah.
That's just what they need to do.
But you're right in the sense that LG is a very well-known brand. When somebody looks at LG, they straight away have confidence that it's going to be a good product, it's going to be good quality. I'm sure pretty much everybody has some form of an LG product, whether that's a television, a monitor, whatever that is, right?
Home appliance, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, literally, everybody in my family does have some form of LG appliance in their house, right? And this is the thing, you have that brand confidence and you could still utilize it, but as we're seeing right now, it's not looking good for LG, but we hope for the best.
I'm praying.
He's praying. Okay, Microsoft is in talks with Discord over a 10 billion plus acquisition. I hate that word.
Acquisition of Discord.
Microsoft is in discussions with Discord to acquire the gaming-focused chat software for more than $10 billion, according to sources talking to Bloomberg. Xbox chief Phil Spencer is said to be talking to Discord about the potential deal. VentureBeats, which is from, I believe it's associated with Evan Blass, very reputable, has reported earlier that Discord was exploring a 10 billion plus sale after multiple potential buyers expressed interest, and it had signed an exclusive acquisition discussion with one party. Okay, so I am not too. I mean, I use Discord and I used to use it particularly when we used to play Call of Duty, probably this time last year. Before I had to ban myself from playing Call of Duty because I was spending too much time doing it and not actually making any videos. But yeah, Discord, obviously very, very popular service. Lots going on. $10 billion.
Yeah, so I think it's done. I think it's a wrap already.
It's already done. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a wrap. Yeah. So here's my thought process with this. Microsoft has said this earlier with the Xbox acquisition that like they had more things coming up. Rumors that Microsoft had a lot of big acquisitions were coming. We weren't sure what those acquisitions were. Now, a lot of people are shocked because most people don't understand how big Discord is. So, we had a Discord server. I set up one for us. We played Call of Duty. I have another one with a few friends that played Division. The way Discord was, you can set up your own private service for the people you want to chat with, and you can bring in people from different servers. It's really easy to use. It's a very easy system to set up. So Discord has become this very big. It started off as being an alternative to gaming chats because most PC games had terrible in-game chat. I mean, like remember when we were trying to play Call of Duty the first time? It's just so bad.
Trash.
So Discord came in, they set this thing up, and now a lot of game manufacturers are like, oh, this is fantastic. We just need the plugin to integrate it. Great, no problem. We don't have to deal with that aspect of things there. Plus, again, with Discord, you set up your own chat. So you only chat with people who you want to chat with. So there's none of that online bullying or anything like that. It's a very controlled system.
Yeah.
Now, for Microsoft, this makes a huge play because here's the other thing they just did yesterday, which it kind of mentioned, and then the whole Discord news kind of blew it away. Microsoft changed Xbox Live to Xbox Network. That's what it's called now. Xbox Live, which is the online service, is now called Xbox Network. And I think Discord will take over the chat aspect of that. But also because Xbox Game Pass is available on PC, mobile, and Xbox, having Discord as your chat platform across the board means you're now connected because you have the Discord app on mobile, which would be most likely separated. It probably be integrated or separate depending on how they want to do it. But then you now have it on your Xbox as well. Because here's the thing, Microsoft Teams came out and so Microsoft tried to buy Slack. This is how this acquisition started. Slack said no. Microsoft built Teams, and now Teams is crushing Slack. Microsoft now wants to do the same thing on gaming, but they know that, look, Discord, it's going to be very hard to beat Discord. So you might as well just put it up and buy them. And I think that 10 million acquisition is already done at this point. I won't be surprised next week it comes up official. We are buying Discord because as the article stated, Discord had entered an exclusive discussion with one company. It's only one company who that makes sense with. It's either Microsoft, Sony, or maybe like a big game developer. But right now, it's pretty much Microsoft.
So I mean, yeah, Discord obviously is huge. We were talking about OnePlus leaks before, and one of the places where we initially got one of the first leaks was from Dave2D's Discord server, right? So somebody actually jumped onto there. So you kind of have this community aspect of it as well, which is really cool. And yeah, I mean, it's a really good service. Do you think Microsoft is the right company to get it?
So yeah, I say yes. So I actually posted it to some of the guys we used to play with on Call of Duty, and half of them were like, no way. And I get it, and I get that Discord being on its own is great. So I have two minds on this because this is the other part of me that doesn't like this massive consolidation of companies. Like it's becoming this huge consolidation where 5 companies control everything, really, at this point. So that part of me does not like it. But I think the new Microsoft where something like Discord is not going to be solely tied to Xbox. There will be Xbox benefits to it. But I think some of the benefits is that now you can play a cross-platform game with your PlayStation friends. And hey, we will offer Discord on the PlayStation. That's a Microsoft service now on PlayStation. And maybe they might say Discord by Xbox. It will be the naming. Making sure that
Sony will allow that?
Sony may not allow it, but it's if it's covering 3 aspects of gaming, even if you never play on the Xbox, if it's covering both mobile and PC. And here's something from Microsoft too. Microsoft now wants to eat the mobile gaming market. Imagine if you control mobile gaming chat, then all those mobile games, even if you don't have that, that's that leg in there.
It's funny you mentioned the cross-platform. So when we used to play Call of Duty on PC, we used to always play with. We used to also play with some friends who are playing on console, right? And one of the funny things is to be able to chat to them cross-platform, would use Discord. So the way we had to do it is, one of our friends, Ali, he would have to have his phone with Discord, have one of his AirPods in one ear, so then he could hear the Discord chat and talk to us, and then he had another headphone in the other ear which was connected to his television, so he could actually play. And it was just, oh man, it's like I was like, dude, how do you even do that? It's just such a headache.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's why I was telling him to get the SteelSeries headset, because that connects you 2 devices at the same time.
2 devices at the same time. But yeah, I mean, if you've got somebody like Microsoft comes in, okay, so on Xbox it's built in and it's cross-platform, so if somebody's playing on PC, you can still chat to them, without having to do all of these crazy hurdles. So I mean, there's potential there. There's potential there, and it should be good. Now, the big one this week is obviously the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro. lots of speculation, lots of leaks from OnePlus themselves. OnePlus kind of like teasing information, but now we've got all the official information. And myself and E have actually been using the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro for, I'd say, around 2 weeks now. So we did get a hold of the devices pretty early, and I'll go over what we've got and what they're featuring, but and then we'll go over some of our opinions. So the OnePlus 9 features a 6.55 inch AMOLED Full HD Plus 120 Hz display. The 9 Pro has a 6.7 inch display, but that is also AMOLED, but it's Quad HD Plus, and it's also got 120 Hz, but with LTPO technology. So it can go all the way down to 1 Hz as well, which gives it that flexibility. You've got the Hasselblad partnership, right? Now, this is quite interesting because we've got the same ultra-wide camera on both devices. Both of those also double up as macro cameras. Then we've got the primary cameras, which are the same size sensors, but they're actually slightly different sensors. We've got a better sensor on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Then we've got telephoto camera on the OnePlus 9 Pro, which will give you 3.3 times optical zoom. The OnePlus 9 does not have optical zoom. And then we've got a 2 megapixel monochrome camera, which is there. Let's just say there's no compromise in terms of the specifications though, because both devices have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset. Both are available with either 8 or 12 gigabytes of RAM. They both have either 128 or 256 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage as well. And then we've got the same 4,500 milliamp hour battery on both of these. But it's quite interesting because the OnePlus 9 Pro and the OnePlus 9 both have 65 watt charging, which is included out of the box. So thumbs up for that. And it's very fast. I mean, you can get 100% charging in like 29 minutes. It's insane how fast it is. Very, very good. But both devices do support wireless charging. However, there's a catch. So the OnePlus 9 only has Qi wireless charging 15 watts in Europe and North America. It does not have it in India and China, right? So that was something that I had to do some research. Yeah, so I actually had to kind of like really do some digging and kind of like really grill OnePlus to find out why that was, right? So, well, I don't know the reason why it was, but to find out the difference, I'm assuming it's to keep the price lower, and maybe wireless charging is not as popular in those areas. I know they go very competitive with the price in India. We've obviously got Oxygen OS based upon Android 11, and the starting price for the OnePlus 9 in the UK is £629, which is pretty competitive. It's 700 and how much is it?
29 pounds in the US.
In the US, and the OnePlus 9 Pro starts at £829 in the UK or $969 in the US. So it's very much going towards that $1,000 price point. Now, the first thing I want to say is performance-wise, these things are top-notch, right? E, you've been testing it. You're a gamer. What do you think?
It's OnePlus. Performance is great. It's the performance you expect. Also, it's in line with everything in 888. But I would say, though, their cooling system this year, I've forgotten what they call it specifically, is definitely better. Because one thing I've noticed with all the smartphones with the Snapdragon 888 that I've tested is they run hot. This is a warmer processor, just in general. So I was kind of confused when my Galaxy hit like 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is almost 50 degrees Celsius. I was like, this is hot, right? And I realized that it's actually the processor, not necessarily Samsung. Samsung just used the same cooling they've been using. And OnePlus talked about theirs, and theirs goes about like 112, so maybe around 47 degrees or so. It's a little bit cooler. So, but in performance, it's what you expect from OnePlus.
OnePlus always has been there, and there's no compromise, right? So it's not like the OnePlus 9 is compromising in terms of the performance. That's something, OnePlus has always been about speed, etc. So speed has been absolutely fine. The displays as well. The displays are very, very good. Some of the best displays out there, especially the OnePlus 9 Pro, which is primarily what I've been using. But it's not to say that the OnePlus 9 has a bad display. It's 120 Hz, it's still AMOLED, and it's pretty good. So, I really wouldn't mind. And it's a flat display as well, which you might prefer to the slightly curved display of the OnePlus 9 Pro.
Mm-hmm. They've hit. I think one of the things we should appreciate with OnePlus is on the hardware side of things, they've hit improvements year to year on things that you appreciate. Display this year is really good on both devices. The processor, the amount of RAM, charging, for instance,
Yeah.
that's not to be understated that you get, you can charge within 30, I would say 30 to 35 minutes, depending on whatever your settings are and all that. There's so many factors to it, right? With a wired charger. While competitors or the big guys in that flagship range, none of them charge that fast.
They don't,
Just
and
put it out
again,
there.
like even if they do charge somewhat fast, they don't include the charger out of the box. So this is something that you are getting, and I want to give OnePlus credit for that. Any manufacturer that now includes a charger out of the box, especially if it's a charger that fast. I mean, 65 watts is fast. It's definitely quite impressive. The OnePlus 9 Pro also supports 50-watt wireless charging. Now, that wireless charger is £70. You're going to have to buy that separately. I don't think you really need that much of a faster wireless charger. For me, wireless charging is more of a convenience thing. So I kind of leave my phone on the wireless charger, wake up to it fully charged. So that's generally what I use it for. But that option is available if you do want to buy it. And the build and design, I mean, I've got loads. I'm looking at it right now, and I've got lots of fingerprints over it because I do have the glossy version. I've got the morning mist. Which color did you get for the Pro?
Oh, I got the silver one.
Yeah, so that's the morning mist as well. So it's glossy.
Yeah,
Now there
morning
is
mist,
there are a couple of matte versions available as well, apparently, but I've not got those, and I've got the winter mist on the OnePlus 9, which is a bit of a purple. Again, it looks really, really nice,
at least
especially in pictures.
lucky you. I got the ever sticky black.
Sticky black, is that again so glossy? So it's interesting because OnePlus really kind of went for the green with the matte finish. I don't know why they went with this. Again, I want to give them credit because they do include cases out of the box. So that's okay, fine. It's glossy. It's gonna get fingerprints, but hey, you get a free case. So there is that. But okay, so that's the package. Speakers are also really good. You were mentioning to me that the speakers are quite nice, and also the OnePlus 9 Pro is louder.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I experienced in my speaker test, which you guys can go check out. But yeah, speakers are solid on them, and again, hardware, just really good stuff.
Battery life. So it's interesting because I've primarily been using the OnePlus 9 Pro, which has been, I'd say, good for battery life. I wouldn't say it's as good as some of the others that I've tested this year, right? And Tom actually did a comparison, like a battery drain test, and he found that the OnePlus 9 actually did better compared to the OnePlus 9 Pro, both at Full HD Plus resolution. So that was quite interesting, and it seems like because the OnePlus 9 Pro has the bigger display, it's having to push out more power there, right? But because of LTPO, I was expecting it to do better. Maybe software updates will improve that. I mean, with the S21 Ultra, my Exynos version, the battery life was terrible, but after a couple of software updates, it became very, very good. So there is potential there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just one of those things where the battery itself, it's 4,500. You're looking at also 5G use as well. So you're going to be getting, honestly, to me, if it's with 5G connectivity, 5,000 milliamps is where the sweet spot is, plus 120 hertz. Even though it's adaptive, you still have to weigh those into account.
Yeah. So, okay, that's everything about the devices. Solid devices. But then it comes to the cameras. Okay, so now let's talk about this. This is what you guys really want to hear as well. This Hasselblad partnership, OnePlus has invested like $150 million. We wanted to really see, is it just a case of OnePlus slapping on the Hasselblad logo, or is there actually some substance to it? So firstly, the interface has been updated. It's got more of a Hasselblad vibe to it. We've got that click, which I quite like actually. I'm gonna let you listen to it because this is a podcast. I'll let you listen to the. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, I don't know, little details like that, but obviously that's not what people are after. What people really want to know is how are the cameras. So I gotta say, overall, the rear-facing cameras, the ultra-wide and the primary, pretty good. And I think the main thing that they've brought over with Hasselblad is the color science, right? This is something that I have found that I do like because, I think OnePlus devices generally were going more towards the Samsung style, which was, very saturated, very vibrant colored, punchy shots, which some people actually do prefer. But now that they've been working with Hasselblad, they've been tuning the colors to be a little bit more neutral, a little bit more natural, I would say. And that's something that I do like, lots of detail, also good dynamic range. What do you think, E?
Oh yeah, I like the color science on there. Dynamic range is really good. The one thing I'll tell people is if you're getting the OnePlus 9 Pro or the OnePlus 9, the display makes reds look really saturated. Trust me, it's not. When you pull it on a laptop or a computer, you actually see the difference. Because I was doing a photo shoot with Board Fam, and she was doing her photo shoot on the OnePlus 9 Pro. She wearing a red jacket, and I was like, ooh, this is more punchy than Samsung. And then we looked at it later, and it was much better. So
Yeah.
so just to note it on that stuff.
So that's the positive side of things. There's also some negatives we're going to be coming to. So the telephoto camera, I mean, it's not anything great. I mean, it's just 3.3 times zoom. I would have preferred like 2 times or like 2.5 times for proper portraits, because the telephoto camera is not used for portraits at all. So I covered the telephoto camera and then I went to portrait mode, and it's just doing what Samsung does, which is cropping into the main sensor. And this is one area, the first area, which I would say was something that I was not impressed with. Portrait mode on the OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro is not very good. Complete missing my hair and part of my face and things like that. I believe you've had a similar experience, E?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at some of the images we took yesterday. I'll be a little bit fair to them and call it spotty, right? I'll call it spotty in the sense that, a bit of a mixed bag. Some things came out really good and some things didn't. And then sometimes it missed, those, how you always did the test where it's in between your arms, when you basically kind of fold your arms or you stand with the Superman pose and, trying to get that. It misses those spots quite a bit. So it was a mix. But the one thing, I don't know if you noticed this, because it was actually Board Friend who brought this up, was when you're taking photos with, whether it's portrait or regular photos, your distance to the camera, basically in her own case, basically decided what the focus would be on the face. So her face looked less sharp the further she stood away from the camera, as opposed to when she was closer to the camera. So that was something that we found just very interesting, where she just zoomed in and she's like, why do I look like I was in the shadows?
So this is the thing, that there's definitely room for improvement. Now, there's video, I mean, 8K at 30 frames a second, both from the primary as well as the ultra-wide cameras, which was something that I've never seen before, an ultra-wide camera 8K. Quality seems to be pretty good. I do need to do more testing. I actually want to put it up against, one of the flagships, maybe the S21 Ultra. That is going to be the work, so, watch out for that SuperSaf style camera comparison. But you've also got 4K at 120 frames a second on the OnePlus 9 Pro, which, is one of the first, I believe.
Yeah, it is. It's still something I haven't taken full advantage of, because I'm trying to capture. I think I might just have to capture cars in traffic first, just because I'm trying to think of things to do to capture it, at that speed. 4K 120.
So I was just jumping in my garden like a madman. If my neighbors were looking, they were probably thinking, "What is this guy doing?" So I mean, there's that. But then so I'd say in a nutshell, when it comes to the rear-facing cameras of the OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro, they're good. The 9 Pro definitely has a better camera, a primary camera, compared to the OnePlus 9, as we were expecting. It's got a better sensor. It does better low light. But, there's definitely room for improvement. Is it something groundbreaking? Is it something that are going to be like, okay, I'm dropping my iPhone, I'm dropping my Samsung, and I'm going to start shooting with the OnePlus? Definitely not. There's definitely improvement here, but there's certainly more room for improvement. Would you agree with me, E?
I would agree. I have more faith in this partnership just because of what they said Hasselblad was going to bring for this phone. They clearly said it was a color science, and it shows. So I think if they continue with that, where Hasselblad is now bringing in more stuff, because I think most of that investment of the 150 million is probably working with them to build their own sensors, or at least work with Sony to say, okay, look, we want the sensor to look exactly
so
like
it's more
this.
This is the first one, and it's not bad for the first devices that have come from this partnership, so it looks promising going forward. Now I'm gonna go into rant mode, because when we flip over and go to the front-facing cameras, then everything that we just talked about goes out the window. Throw it out the window as far as you can, because it does not apply to the front-facing cameras. Because it seems like OnePlus were like, okay, Hasselblad, this, that, and they were really working. And then the front-facing cameras are like, all right, just throw on what was from whatever we had, similar to whatever we had on the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro, which weren't really great anyway. So okay, they can take decent selfies in good lighting, and you do actually have some good dynamic range. I want to give them that because I was in situations where there was a lot of kind of light coming in from the background. Actually, did pretty decent, right? Portrait mode can be hit and miss, right? But then video is just atrocious. I'm going to say this, I don't want to kind of put them down too much because, as I said, you've got overall good packages, but the front-facing cameras, I mean, the video is 1080p. So here, OnePlus are like, we've got this Hasselblad partnership. We've got 8K from two cameras. All of the other losers have got. They didn't say this obviously, but kind of like everybody else has only got 8K from the main camera, and the 8K from the main camera of the S21 Ultra also crops in crazy. So that's another thing which the OnePlus does not do. And then when it comes to the front-facing cameras, oh yeah, forget just the 1080p, right? And it's not only the resolution, because the quality is pretty bad. Dynamic range is not good, and it's just very soft. And yeah, I was not happy with the front-facing cameras.
No, I wasn't happy with the front-facing camera either. For me, that was one of those things where I was, because I did my comparison with the OnePlus 9 versus the S21. I was like, all right, let me just go out there and shoot some front-facing video and rear video, just quick samples so people can see. My S21 set at 4K 60, and I'm like, where's this thing? I can't find. Oh. So I recorded it. I was like, oh, it is 1080p 30. It's not even 1080p 60.
You can't even go there, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just one of those things where, for me, if you're playing in this league, so that's the thing that OnePlus needs to understand in my mind is that, look, right now you've got the OnePlus 9 that competes against the S21. So you're in the league already. And then you've got the Pro, which competes against the S21 Ultra. And right now, the S21 Ultra has dropped price to $900, by the way. So it's $69 less than the OnePlus, at least here in the US, in certain places. So you're going, you have to have all your ducks in a row when you're coming in to say, okay, look, we've covered all these things, especially when you're doing 4K 120. Like, how can you do 4K 120 on one end and then like,
yeah, just completely
30 on the other.
And this is the thing. I mean, this for a device that's $30 off $1,000, and okay, in the UK you're getting, I'd say, a bit more competitive pricing. I don't know how it works in terms of imports and taxes and stuff, but yeah, £829. But that's still on the high end. You could easily get an S21 Plus for around about that much now. So you're really competing against the big boys, right? And you cannot just forget a feature like that. Now, granted, I'm not somebody who lives on my front-facing camera, but for me, it just doesn't add up. That just doesn't make sense. That how could you just completely disregard the front-facing camera like that when we're talking all about these rear-facing cameras? So that's probably the biggest downside for me for the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro. That aside, overall solid devices. I think from OnePlus. I'm interested to see where it goes for them next.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think they're solid. The one other takeaway, at least for me here in the US, which I mentioned, is that the OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro, even though they're 5G devices, do not support millimeter wave in the US. So that kind of limits at least people who are Verizon users and who want to tap into those really mega fast, 5G speeds. So that's something to take note.
So again, something that Samsung is offering, right? Something that's the competitors. And when it comes to the OnePlus 9, I think they've done a better job than what they did with the OnePlus 8, because when it came to the OnePlus 8 or the OnePlus 8 Pro, for me it was easy. Now I think the OnePlus 9 actually might be pretty good for a lot of people, because you're missing out on a few different features, but you're still getting a solid device for that price. But then only until Samsung drops the S21 FE, because if the S21 FE comes in at the same price, then based on the S20 FE, which had a telephoto camera, it had so many things that were really, really just on point. I wonder what's gonna happen when Samsung comes in with the S21 FE. Let's see. Okay, and now to finish off, we want to talk about something a little bit different, and that's what we like to do in the podcast. We like to talk about what we want to talk about. It doesn't necessarily always have to be specifically tech and smartphones. And let's take a bit of a break from smartphones anyway, because there's too many right now. We're having a bit of smartphone.
I think we listed 6 or 7 smartphones already.
Man, there's a lot to go through. Okay, so the Snyder Cut of Justice League. It was released on HBO Max in the US and Sky in Sky Cinema in the UK. Lots of talk about it online. 4 hours long. The first thing I want to address before anything else, 4:3 or whatever it is, 1:3, whatever the actual ratio was, right?
Ratio is, yeah.
Now the reason behind it was that it was intended for IMAX. So am I correct in understanding that?
Yeah, so the movie was shot it was shot on film, but it was converted to IMAX standard. That's what it was, and he wanted to get that tall frame. Now the original, which came out in 2017, was edited for 16:9. And I remember this because big DC fan, watch a lot of comic book movies, but Saf called me up, and this is the other side of the story. He's not going to tell me. He just said, "Oh, no, he called me." He sent me a text message. He's like, "Seriously, man, 4:3. Like, what's going on here?"
What the hell?
And a lot of people have made jokes about like the iPad is the best thing to watch it on, and like different dare bring back your old CRT TVs and monitors and and watch it that way. But yeah, it was built for that, and it's one of those decisions that he wanted to keep it that way. And I can tell you the reason why I think he kept it that way is because this is built as his last hurrah, in the sense of all the like the DC movies he's creating. So he wanted to keep it the same way, because he's also releasing a black and white version as well that will be coming out for the movie.
Okay.
Because when he shot it, he actually shot it almost on grayscale, so that he could color correct later.
Did he use a 2-megapixel monochrome camera for that?
I don't know if he did. I don't think to get it that sharp though. I think he probably used like something a little bit higher.
Okay, let me just clarify, right? Zack Snyder is a legend, and he can do whatever the hell he wants. Okay, right? If he wants to shoot in 4:3 or whatever the actual ratio is, he can do that, and that it was his vision, right? And that was the whole point of the Snyder Cut was it was his vision. So however the hell he wants to show it, he can show it. But here's my argument on the other side, right? Because this is something that I've always talked about. Now, before smartphones came about and vertical video became a thing, the one thing that I used to always say is we as humans have eyes side by side, okay? Right? And I want you to try this out as well, okay? So look ahead, look at your camera, okay? Put your hands like this. Put your hands like this, okay? And keep spreading them apart and see where they disappear. They'll probably disappear around about here, okay? So they'll probably disappear around about here.
I can still see. I got a really wide vision though.
Okay, right.
I can see that, yeah.
Right, now try the same, but going horizontally, okay? You can go as wide as you want, all right? You will still be able to see them because we have wide vision as humans, right? We have wide vision. That's just the way it works, which is why, when you go and see a movie in widescreen cinematic 21:9, you can experience that because you're taking in all of your surroundings, and that's the kind of purpose of it, right? Which is why 16:9 is kind of in between, so it kind of like has a bit of a compromise because shooting that wide can be very difficult. 21:9 is quite difficult to shoot, and making sure the framing and everything is right. You kind of have to kind of fill in a lot of the stuff. So I kind of get the 16:9 is kind of in the middle, which is why televisions at home are in 16:9.
Yeah.
So that's my point around the 4:3 versus 16:9 argument. That for me, I think you get a better overall viewing experience when you're sitting at home. People are saying about watching this on an iPad. I'm sorry, but as good as the iPad is, and I love watching movies on the iPad on a plane because whenever I'm traveling, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But if I'm sitting at home, I want to be using my 65, 75, whatever inch TV that I have to experience that in full, right? And having that 4:3 in the middle, I was just like, it's just like, again, I'm gonna go back to that. The wide, the format that our eyes are, the way God made us was to experience wide content, to have that vision where we can see and experience all of that. So that's my kind of. I think that fair enough if it was made for IMAX, that's fine. but considering that it was going to be released on HBO and stuff like that, they should have also kind of been that consideration. Again, I want to emphasize that Zack Snyder can do whatever the hell he wants, trust me, but I'm just giving my opinion that I would have liked to have had a version for...
I actually don't disagree with you in that aspect, just for the general consumer and stuff like that. For me, it didn't bother. But I also want to preface this for people is that when you see those bars on the side, you're not missing any wide information, just to correct you guys here. Just in general, because people might think you're missing information here.
Oh, no,
the thing
it's
is,
not cropped.
Yes, it's not cropped. That you're getting all the information. The thing is that when they actually reformat it for 16:9, you actually lose information on the top and the bottom. That's what happens. That's just usually what happens. So just so you know, because I know some people were like, what am I missing on the sides? Like what's going on either side of the screen?
Who's sneaking over from the side? Is
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, am I, where's the Joker? Is he hiding behind there? I don't know what's going on. But yeah, you're not missing anything in that respect. The only thing that to me was now I wanted to ask you your take on the movie. Like, what did you think? Again, 4 hours.
Okay, so
there's a lot of stuff in there.
We'll put aside the 16 by and 4:3 argument. That's the end of that. Now let's actually talk about the movie. So I have this special thing where I forget movies. I'll watch something, and then a couple of years later, it will be almost 90% blanked out. Okay, that's just because I have a very bad memory, and I guess I have selective memory where I'll kind of remember something, and then something else gets deleted and formatted so I can make more space for something else. So I actually didn't remember too much of the first cut. So I was just like, okay, it was pretty fresh, right? Now, what I did like about it is I like some of the changes. So, I was kind of reviewing and I was like, oh yeah, kind of seeing, the black Superman outfit. Come on, like, how could they miss that out in the original version? Come on.
I knew that was the first thing, like, you were watching it, you were like, where's mine?
I was just like, I already love this movie. 10 out of 10, straight away. Black Superman outfit, job done, right? But no, I liked it. I like that. One of the things that I like personally was because it was in chapters. By the way, we forgot to do spoiler alert. I'll put that somewhere in there. Sorry, guys, if you've not already seen it, but it's been 2 weeks by the time you listen to this, so it's your own fault. But anyway, so one of the things, for me was because it was in chapters, it kind of because I generally have a very short attention span, so I kind of take breaks in between regular movies. If you've ever watched a Bollywood movie, there's something called an intermission that you have in between, because those 3-hour movies or 3.5-hour movies is something that people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they're very much used to that. Right, so having an intermission is something that's very normal. But the fact that this was kind of split in chapters, I quite liked, because it meant that I could kind of, because I actually watched it in parts. So I took a bit of a break, do something else. So I quite liked that as well. The visual effects, I also liked. I liked the fact that they developed more of Cyborg's story, which is something that I thought was missing from the first one. It was kind of like just kind of thrown in there, so it kind of built up the character a little bit more as well. So I definitely liked that. It was overall a very, very good movie. But obviously, you are more of a movie buff, comic book fan, so love to hear your thoughts.
For me, it hit the nail on how DC characters are, because I'm a big DC fan first before Marvel, but I have all comic books. DC characters are gods. They're not people who have powers. That's Marvel. Marvel's always somebody develops powers. DC characters, when Wonder Woman came in and saved the kids, from that school trip, she just went through all those people. I was like, you are gone. Like, just totally, right?
Okay. I'm going to stop you there. I don't like referring to people as gods, so I'm just gonna, that actually goes very much against my religion. So just want to put a disclaimer out there. He is chatting rubbish right now. You cannot compare characters to gods. But anyway, to gods.
No, smaller, never up there.
You could say
they're thought of higher,
supernatural, right? But I wouldn't refer to them. You're a Christian. Well, come on, man. Come on.
No. I'm referring to the fact that they are written like the Greek gods per se.
Okay.
So
they're kind of like methodical.
Mythical. Yeah, exactly. Whenever they come into a scene, there's a sort of reverence or like, yeah, they're here. Like every time, when Superman showed up to fight the bad guy, they had Steppenwolf. Like he just showed up and just kicked his butt completely all the way.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
obviously,
so it's
yeah. But,
yeah,
but this
so
is
it's
the
a
thing.
lot of that
He's
stuff.
he's an alien from Krypton who has these powers compared to us. I mean, if he was in Krypton, then maybe he wouldn't be so tough.
No, actually, no. He actually will have zero powers. It's the
Yeah,
sun. It's our sun that feeds
yeah.
him. It
They
basically
give
it's like
you some background.
photosynthesis.
So definitely
Yeah,
not a
exactly.
god.
But I like that. But I think one of the things for me was Cyborg. That was probably the best
Yeah.
part. And I think even that scene that he helped the mother who was a waitress, that to me just showed his character, like because his father was saying you have all this power. It's like like the Spider-Man tale you always hear, like you've got all this power. It's how do you use it to help people, in that sense. So a lot of that stuff was great, but again, like the special effects, the fight scene, the action, the story details that could have sprung out from this if it continues. So again, for me, it was great, and it's very watchable because of the chapters. Actually, because of the chapters, you can really just skip. Like if you want to go back and watch it again, you can go like, oh, okay, like I like that, I like that scene here, or this and that, or I like the Amazons. I want to see the Amazons, do their thing. You can just skip and go there and like check it out. So for me, that was cool. Although the sad thing though is Warner Brothers now is still saying that this will not continue, and I'm going, this was trending by the way. You know how we talked about this is funny. Remember I was thinking about this weekend. Remember how Lou was able to get his unboxing video, his giveaway video trending for a day.
Well,
This has been trending since Thursday till today.
yeah, yeah. So
Like,
that's like
and
we're shooting this on a Monday, so it's already been 4 days. That's been four.
I was like, you don't have anything that trends like that, so you can't tell people that that's the end. Like that's just a bad business decision move. But that's a whole nother story entirely.
Hey, look, they're gonna see they're gonna see it. Trust me, this. I mean, the reason why they even got this is because at the end of the day,
Fans.
all of these they all work on money, right? When they see potential and they see that there's gonna be more money rolling in, I guarantee you they're gonna look into it because at the end of the day, it's all about money. It's all comes with.
Oh no, you're absolutely right, because they don't have a streaming. HBO Max is not available anywhere else except the US, right? But over the weekend, all the foreign streaming services in different countries have been posting. In India, they said this was the highest rented movie. I've gone to the service that mentioned that they've had by 150%. So,
Hey.
I'm going like, that is just a lot of
No, but
cash to you guys.
it always happens. Like you remember, like the whole Deadpool story as well, where they wanted to do this, they were like, "Nah, it's not gonna happen," and then the footage got
Trailer.
leaked.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
Ryan
got-
Reynolds. He leaked it himself.
Leaked it, right? And then when they saw the potential, they were like, and obviously then it became, and it was one of my favorite superhero movies, Deadpool 2. Amazing movies. And again, when they see the potential and they see the amount of money, the dollar signs light up, their eyes light up, and it's just gonna happen, right? And this is the thing, something that I definitely expect going forward. So yeah, I mean, I see a lot of potential there. I really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna watch it 3 times in a week like he has. I didn't enjoy that much.
I've only watched it once.
Oh.
I'm still watching it again. I basically stopped. Yeah, I mean, like, look. As a superhero fan, I usually watch my superhero movies at least 3 times. Back then, when I was younger, I watched, Dark Knight. I watched it like 5 times. Man of Steel 6 times. Okay, that's
Dark
enough. I'm
Knight.
not even gonna say anything.
Sorry, I just want to take a moment. Dark Knight. I mean, you know what? Like, I remember like seeing Batman Begins, right? I wasn't sure what to expect, right? I went in and I was like, wow, like absolutely love that. And then the Dark Knight. So this was so funny because we so wanted to see that, right? But it was my my cousin's wedding, right? So we all had got together. Now it was my cousin's wedding the day after, right? We're supposed to help out, set everything up, right? And me and my cousins, like my so is my cousin, it was her wedding, and she was like the first one getting married, and we were like, we have to go see this. So we snuck out for a late showing so we could be on the first day to watch The Dark Knight, and then we came back and we got caught, and it was not fun, but it was totally worth it. It was totally worth it because it was such a good movie. Oh man, Dark Knight. I'm gonna watch that again. I've watched that movie so many times, but I like to have a bit of a gap. I like to, maybe have like a year or two in between because, as I said, then my formatting happens and I'm like, oh yeah, let me see that. It's like, what? He's the killer.
At least you're slightly better. You're better than Board Fem. Board Fem is, we've calculated now. It's literally 3 months, and then there's a full reset.
Erase, gone back. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, actually, it's maybe even less because we were about to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, and she's like, I don't think they've done a Superman movie. I was like, we just watched Man of Steel a month ago.
Okay, so found somebody that's actually even has got the short term memory.
All she remembers is who is Superman. It's like, I know Henry. I'm like, I know he's Superman, but I'm like, we were right here. Like, what's going on?
It's like it's gone, erased, removed. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've got hopefully more coming. So we'll see. All right, guys, that's all we have time for. We kind of ended off on completely non-tech, and it was hopefully you enjoyed the fun chat. If you enjoyed the podcast, as always, do drop a rating on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on YouTube and social media, get involved. The YouTube channel is doing really well. We've got the clips going up on there as well. So if you just want to hear a few clips rather than the full episode, feel free to do that on YouTube. We've got pretty much all of the devices that we talked about. We've covered on the main channels, Board at Work and SuperSaf, and also Board Fem, if you want to hear a female's perspective on some tech as well. So do go ahead and check all of those out. Thanks for listening. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks.
And Thunder E from Board at Work.
And we'll see you next time.